Hi, third graders. Welcome back today, lesson 18 of ELA. I know the last couple days have been kind of different, but we've been learning about some important key parts to being able to understand a story and how the events in the story relate to the narrator or the characters. If you'll follow along, I'm going to read our intention and our criteria today to be successful. We are learning to show how a character's motivations and actions affect the sequence of a story. Let's pause just for a second. What are some things in that statement that we already do know? That's right. We know that a character's motivations is what kind of drives the character to do things or experience things within the story. And we know that a sequence of a story is when things happen in a specific order and the character contributes to that. We will be successful today when we can describe the characters in a story by their traits, their motivations, their actions, maybe their point of view, explain how parts of a story build on one another, describe how characters' actions contribute to the events of the story, and then explain the difference between the narrator's point of view and my own or your own. So we're going to kind of put everything we've learned about point of view, motivation, character traits all into this one intention and really dig deep into those characters. So we have read 3 stories so far in 3rd grade: The Case of the Gasping Garbage, Thunder Cake, and The Lemonade War, and an excerpt from there, Location, Location, Location. And in The Case of the Gasping Garbage, we met Nell Fossey and Drake. And in Thunder Cake, we met Grandma and her granddaughter. And then in Location, 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 we met Evan. All 3 of these stories are what's considered a realistic fiction. It's a made-up story, but the events and people in the story could exist in real life, even the settings. For instance, in Location, 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 have you ever had a lemonade stand trying to make a little money for maybe a new bicycle or a new football? Yeah. And in Thunder Cake, have you ever experienced being scared of something, say maybe a thunderstorm? Or The Case of the Gasping Garbage, have you ever been curious about something that you did some investigative or detective work? Yeah, it could really happen in real life. But there's something amongst these 3 books that's really in common theme or idea. What do you think that might be in all 3 of these stories? Did you think about perseverance and never giving up? Always working hard, challenging yourself? Yeah, I think all 3 of these stories have those themes or ideas inside of them. Let's look at The Case of the Gasping Garbage. I want you to think about this question and think about the whole story, but I'm going to read 2 excerpts from the story to kind of help you answer these, okay? So, how do Drake and Nell contribute to the sequence of events in The Case of the Gasping Garbage? I'll start on the bottom excerpt. All afternoon they worked. They outlined and colored and glittered and painted. They glued and stapled and taped and hammered. Finally, they were finished. "Slow down," the sign said. "Frog crossing, nature in progress." There, Nell nodded with satisfaction. That should do it. Page 3. Drake was excited. This could prove to be a great day for Doyle and Fossey, science detectives. They'd never had a monster assignment before, and of course, it would be a great day for the small town of Mossy Creek. They'd publish their findings in the local newspaper. Garbage-eating monster discovered. Mossy Lake's garbage problem solved. Maybe they'd even lecture at Mossy Lake University. And then there's kind of a picture over here, an illustration from the story. So what do you think? How do Drake and Nell contribute to the sequence of events in the case of the Gasping Garbage? I kind of agree with you. They don't give up. They tackle and assume responsibility for every mystery that comes their way. They don't give an excuse not to do it. They're eager to seek out and see what they can find and discover and make observations to solve the mystery for their friends. Let's look at Thunder Cake. And I want you to think about the narrator. Now, When we say narrator, remember it can be a character, so you got to think, who was the narrator in Thundercake? That's right, it was the girl. So think about the girl, and how did she contribute to the sequence of events? I'll start up here at the top. 10 miles. It's 10 miles away, Grandma said as she looked at the sky. About an hour away, I'd say. You'll have to hurry, child. Gather them eggs careful like, she said. Eggs from mean old Nellie Peck Hen. I was scared. I knew she would try to peck me. I'm here. She won't hurt you. Just get them eggs, Grandma said softly. Milk was next. Milk from old Kit Cow. As Grandma milked her, Kit Cow turned and looked mean right at me. I was scared. She looked so big. Zip went the lightning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I counted. Baroom went the thunder. Some intense moments there. So what do you think? How did the narrator contribute to the sequence of events? That's right. She would help Grandma get things on the farm together to really conquer her fears, right? So her being orderly and helpful, it kind of helped. Now let's look at location, location, location. And I want you to think how Evan contributes to the sequence of events in location, location, location. I've got 3 excerpts this time because I really want you to think, because it might be a little tricky. Let's see if you can figure it out. I'll start down here in the bottom, and then I'll go to the top right, and then to the bottom right. Okay, here we go. He needed a plan, something that would guarantee good sales. The weather was holding out, that was for sure. It was going to hit 95 degrees today, a real scorcher. People would be thirsty, all right. Evan closed his eyes and imagined of a crowd of thirsty people, all waving dollar bills at him. Now, where was he going to find a lot of thirsty people with money to spend? An idea popped into Evan's head. Yep, it was perfect. He just needed to find something with wheels to get him there. Evan was in trouble. So far, he'd earned $47.11, which was more money than he'd ever had in his whole life. But today was Friday. There were only 3 days left. 3 days to beat Jesse. He needed to earn almost $53 to win the bet, and that meant each day he had to earn. Do you remember? That's why they're called excerpts. Back outside, he got to work. First, he filled his pitchers with water from the drinking fountain. Then he stirred in the mix. Then he pulled out a big blue marker and wrote on a piece of paper, $2 per cup, best price in town. He'd barely finished setting up when the customers started lining up. And they didn't stop. For a full hour, he poured lemonade. The world is a thirsty place, he thought, as he nearly emptied his 4th pitcher of the day. And I am the lemonade king. We'll stop there. So what do you think? How did Evan contribute to the sequence of events in location, location, location? Yeah, it was his determination. He was finding ways that would help him be successful in the competition to beat Jesse and make the most money. And do you remember up here, the author kind of trailed off here and it said, and that meant each day he had to earn. And if you remember back in the story, if you need to go back and view it again, he had to figure out exactly how much he needed. And that was kind of like his motivation. He knew in order to win, he had to do things in order to succeed. So the sequence he really contributed to. All right, friends, for your assignment today, I want you to think about everything we discussed, but then I want you to put a spin on it and think about your characters. The narrator, or the girl from Thundercake, Evan from Location, 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 and Nell and Drake from the case of the gasping garbage. Did those characters change over time? You will respond in these boxes by clicking in the boxes, or you could record your voice and explain how each character from each story changed over time with the sequence of events that was happening, their motivation, their character traits. Try and use text evidence if you can. Let's look at our intention and criteria today. So we were kind of talking about the character's motivations, sequence of events in the story, and throwing in character traits and really rounding the characters out to describe how they were in the story, explain how parts of the stories build on one another, describing how characters' actions contribute to the events or sequence of events in the story, and explain the difference between the narrator's point of view and your own. And really, this lesson really kind of ties it all together. As you're discussing today with your class or with your teacher, try and use that text evidence that really supports from those three stories. Remember, we also talked yesterday about how your point of view might be making connections with what the narrator or the characters were also experiencing. Friends, that's it for today. Don't forget to read at least 20 minutes today. And have you shared what you were reading with your teacher or your class? You might try that next time. See you tomorrow. Bye.